We're building awareness of Nigerian cuisine.
I think we're doing a good job of this.
For sure.
The pandemic really did a good job at putting a spotlight on Nigerian culture. And I'd like to say it started off with the blowout of TikTok. And, the association of Afrobeats to dancing and the ease of it and everyone being at home and everyone having access and people being aware. And then that bringing like a spotlight on, okay, so what else is going on over there?
It's your girl Maxie, aka Amaka, Max, or Mwamaka like my mother calls me. I enjoy gisting. I enjoy having deep and meaningful conversations with the people that I meet. And I thought it was important to actually sit down and document these conversations that I'm having. We'll have conversations with Amax, and you get to just dig into the minds of business owners and entrepreneurs. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I take you through these scintillating conversations.
I've been interested in food for a while, but do you feel like there's any factor that's now making it more available or more accessible to people globally?
I think accessibility is political in a way. Because let me tell you, a few years ago I lived in the Netherlands.
Okay.
And at this point I became obsessed with vanilla.
Okay. Why?
Why? And I'm the kind of cook who will discover an ingredient and will want to explore it in 20,000 ways. Boil, fry, bake, pickle, dry, crisp, all that. So it's like, I had all of these ideas for vanilla, but vanilla is not cheap. It's expensive. And I found this website where, it had really good reviews. This was like 14 or 15 years ago. Found this website, they had great vanilla. I started buying from them in the Netherlands when I was in the Netherlands. It was a US-based site.
Okay. And were you buying in bulk? Or?
I was buying in bulk. Okay. I would buy enough to last a couple of years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because it was really good price, but they also had like vanilla from Tahiti, Indonesia, Tanzania, Madagascar.
And was there a difference?
Like you could see the difference.
You
could see the difference in the flavor profile. You could see the difference in the looks. But me, I normally just make vanilla extract and vanilla powder.
Okay.
Those are the two things.
Okay.
But at that time, I was exploring making vanilla vinegars, vanilla oils, vanilla sugar.
What was that like?
Great. Like, in fact, I made a roasted chicken recipe once that had like a creamy filling of like vanilla paste and some things were so good. So good.
Your kids must enjoy.
They
enjoy.
And the things that they're all food lovers. No, I am honestly, I could not ask for better partners on this journey of being a food lover than my children. Couldn't. In fact, I have slacked. Like since moving, like in the last year or two, I have definitely slacked. Like I don't cook as much. And they complain because when we were in Nigeria, they would go to school and come back to meet like a spread, jams, sauces, pickles, sauce, rice, beef, mushrooms. Like
wow.
Like I would like constantly.
So what was it about Nigeria?
Fed them. I had help.
Okay.
I had help.
Yes.
But also here now, I work. I'm working on my book.
There's not a lot of time. Because cooking does take time.
And I think at a point I felt there's some days I just don't feel like cooking. Whereas in Nigeria, I almost always felt like cooking.
Yeah.
But I'm okay, it's a phase. It's a phase, right? And I still prepare things. Like I still, like, every other week I'll make a big batch of pickled onions. I'll make a sauce. I'll cook a few things. Yes, I like pickles. Because it's not something... I think I think of the probiotic kind of... the health benefits, but I also like the flavors and the textures. I have a sweet tooth.
Really?
I have a Huge sweet tooth.
How do I not know this?
Huge sweet tooth. Like I will drink Coke over a glass of wine any day.
What?
I will have tea over a cocktail.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Or a sweet cocktail.
Or like my
Very
cocktails border on sugar and syrup. Like I'll always like if I order a cocktail, I'll say, "Okay, can you please put the alcohol on the side, and then I can moderate what I put in, and because can I have extra syrup?" Yeah.
So you customize your own cocktails.
Yes. So it's just I just like I didn't grow up with pickles, so there's a lot of experimentation. Like, okay, what happens if I pickle grapes? Oh, I like that. What happens if I pickle apples? Right? Like, it's just that.
What Nigerian ingredient have you pickled? Anything that's what was that like?
Sour.
Ooh.
But incredibly fit. You know, agbalumo. I love agbalumo. I'm obsessed with agbalumo. It's a very flavorful fruit. What else have I done? Like during the pandemic, I did so many pickles.
Wow. And jams as well.
Oh, I love. So jams, pickles. Yeah.
That's your jam?
That's my jam. That is my jam.
Wow. And you say onions, you pickle that a lot?
I pickle red onions a lot. My son likes them, so at least for the last month, I have like the jar of the brine. And when we use it's empty, I just slice small onions, season them a little bit, put it back in the same brine, top it up with extra vinegar. So it has like
building flavor.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And it also looks really pretty.
Do you mix it or you just put it in and...
No, I mix it.
Okay.
So this last batch I made, I added some chili oil. And my son tasted it and he was like, "What? Wait, Mama, did you add?" I said yes. And he was like, "Oh, it's really nice."
Very nice. What spices would you put in it?
So I normally just do a bit of salt, a bit of sugar. And then lately I've been doing black pepper, like so freshly cracked black pepper. And then I added like the chili oil. But apart from that, it's just salt, sugar, or honey.
Delicious.
And the onions. The onions themselves have a lot of flavor. So
yeah, they really do. They really, really do. Food is life. I mean, I know that, traditionally, we ate together. We ate communally, eating in big batches, everybody eating one thing. It was the Netflix and chill. Now we come together and watch Netflix. But I love the conversations that come and the experiences that come with sitting down and engaging with food, even from the process of getting the ingredients or even thinking about what will make sense today is a very enjoyable process for me. I don't know what that. I know that you enjoy even the searching and the experimentation of it. Would you call yourself a professor in? Do you teach?
I teach actually. That's my full-time job.
And what are you teaching?
I teach courses in food and tourism.
Lovely.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. So I've been teaching since August of 2021. I was teaching part-time and I became full-time in August.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. So I teach courses that touch on food, history, culture, destinations. How does food make a place?
Interesting. And how did you get into that?
I've always wanted to teach. I've always loved teaching. I think that my style of writing, my style of sharing has elements of educating and instructing and sharing. My mom was a teacher. Is a teacher. Well, you never really studied a teacher, right?
Of course. Oh, wow. So you feel like you got a little bit of her?
For sure. I grew up writing essays.
Yeah.
We would write composition. I don't think there was anything growing up that I didn't write a composition about, including the pets I did not have.
Yes, I want a dog. I go and write a composition about how to take care of the dog. That is incredible. And what's that journey been like? Is this centered around African?
No, I teach at Centennial College. It's like a Canadian college. A lot of the studies are global studies. So yeah, there's the opportunity to draw connections between the continent of Africa and it's essentially exploring global global events.
And do you connect any of the information that you get from, teaching and that curriculum to, say, your cookbook that you're working on right now?
There's some of it that I connected, maybe indirectly. But I think for me, knowledge is such a circular thing that sometimes I can't tell where something starts and where it ends. So you know what I mean? It's just, it's all connected. And it's part of that, who I am, wherever is who I am.
At that,
where I'm pretty much the same person. And I guess it's the same with, so I can't really separate my work from my life.
I like that. I mean, I feel like that's what work should be like. It shouldn't be this entity. Like, okay, this is... I think there's a show now or movie where, you have a particular life when you're at work, and then you switch and you switch into a different person.
On Netflix?
Yes, on Netflix,
okay.
Which is insane. But to me, you should be one and the same. I mean, ideally, I know that we live in a very interesting world where things are not perfect, but the best situation would be that you would be doing something that you genuinely enjoy, so that it doesn't start to feel like a chore.
Yeah, that's my desire. It took me a while to get here, right? Because I guess when you're younger, you were thinking money, and you're thinking, how will I survive?
Still thinking money,
Yeah, but I also think that we can find there's money also. Where money and our loves and our desires intersect.
They can intersect. I guess it's the discovery of that intersection. It's not that straightforward. So it really requires a lot of research and introspection, you think?
I think that society says there are many of these structures and many of these paths. But I don't think that that's exactly how it... we say, you go to school, get married, have children.
Yes. There are many
there's so many other paths to even doing all of those things.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But I see many prescriptions of how things are supposed to go. Many prescriptions of how job progression is supposed to go, of how you find what you love, and all of those things. But I also see so much individuality and so much dimension. I'm like, why do we keep telling people that there are these prescriptions when honestly there may not necessarily be
one particular way? I don't know, it's tough. How do you tell a Nigerian or someone who's been raised in Nigeria that there are many other ways?
See me now. I think I'm a classic example of that, because I started off my career, I studied urban and regional planning, quit that, went to university in the UK, did geology, worked as a geologist for 15 years, quit partway through working as a geologist, started writing about food.
Okay, your ball.
And started doing so many different things with food, from photography to recipe development to research to food and prop styling, so many different things. Moved back to Nigeria, went deeper into food, started doing food exhibitions, food styling, educating people about flavors of Nigeria, helping people develop global recipes for based on Nigerian flavor notes, right? So I've done so many things in food that I can't, when someone asks me what you do, I'm like, I work with food. Because when I list all of the things, you're like,
oh, because there's a range.
There's a range. And I've actually spent a considerable amount of time on each one. I've earned money from each one. But what I know is that again, there's a cycle. At one point, it's my research skills that are at the fore. Another point might be my recipe development, right? So it's... And sometimes it's an intersection of all of them.
So this cookbook that you're working on now, can you tell us a little bit about how it came to be? Because you've really been involved in all aspects of food.
Yeah.
So one, how did you get there, and why do you think it's important to develop something like this and work on this project?
Well, so when I think of a cookbook, for me, it's a lot about identity, but also legacy, right? Preservation. It's one reason why I really enjoyed writing my blog. And I had this experience where my niece, who goes to school in the UK, rang me up, trying to describe a snack she'd had to a friend of hers. And she was like, oh, it's made from cassava. My grandma makes it. It's called bobozi. And she's going to search for it on the internet. But she was searching, not confident at all that she was going to find anything.
Okay.
And she comes upon a blog post that I had written describing bobozi that her grandmother made for me. And you know, and I was just like, and she could show, because there were photos, she could show it to her friend. Right? I said, this is what I'm talking about. And there was all the story about how it was made and all that. And she was like, she rang me up so excited. And I was like, if this was the only call I ever got about my blog making it different, it matters, right? So for me, that's it, right? That idea that our food is discoverable, that you can go and search for something and be sure of finding some information that people can reference things. I'm not going to be here forever. I want that, you know, if someone wants to make stew and they're like, I had stew in OZOZ'S house one day. There's a recipe that they can find, right? Because also I live off, like, it's cookbooks from historic times that today provide me with a deeper understanding of the culture.
What was happening at that time. Yeah. No, I think it's very important. I really do. So what's that process been like? Have you always thought
I've always wanted to write a
something
cookbook.
like this?
I started thinking about a cookbook. My daughter is 20 now. So I've probably been thinking about cookbooks since I was like 21, way before she was born.
Wow.
At the time, I was living in Liverpool, and I had two very good friends who lived in Manchester. And Liverpool and Manchester are close by. So I'd go spend weekends with them. And we would go, like, grocery shopping was our favorite thing. We were all broke students. So we would pull resources.
Ooh, I like
and
that.
it was always like, okay, let's buy Sunny Delight. At that time, we didn't know that Sunny Delight had all sorts of weird ingredients in it. We would buy things, and then we were like, okay, let's make this. And we were always eating. Always eating. Medina, Mukhtar, and I. Always eating. So Medina is Nigerian, Mukhtar is Indian, and then there's me. And we would cook. And I remember this time, we had spent like $2 on a jar of Doritos salsa.
Okay.
We really enjoyed it. But then, we're like, this $2 can buy us a lot of ingredients and we'll probably make 4 times. So I read off the ingredients at the back of the jar. And I made it. I made the salsa. It was 1,000,000 times better
than the processed
version. And I make it to this day. My children love it. Right? So it's just
Your Dorito salsa dupe. That ended
up becoming the real deal. So I've always wanted to write a cookbook. I had and I still have it somewhere, but I had an address book where I would write recipes. And I was like, because the address book was alphabetic, it was easy for me to just like document things. Always wanted to write a cookbook.
Beautiful.
Always. So definitely living my deepest dreams and desires.
Oh, you're giving me hope. I feel like I have all these dreams associated with food, and in my mind, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get everything done now, and like in 1 year, we're gonna do a cookbook, and then I'm like, nah, you're teaching me that. What is making sense in that moment or in that season is what it's supposed to be, right? And I guess indulging in that time.
I wanted to write a cookbook 20 years ago. And then the next best thing for me to write a cookbook was about 8 years ago. So I was part of a community online, and I'd written this piece about a cookie, and the next day an agent got in touch with me. It turns out that the agent's dad and I were very good friends. We worked in the same company.
Interesting.
We would go out for meals together. He bought me this book, and the dad he had read the recipe independent of his dad knowing anything. Or him knowing that his dad knew me.
Yes.
And the first manuscript I attempted was a book based on my blog. So it was the changing phases of kitchen butterfly. So it was like my memoirs with recipes. So I shared the first chapter, and then he lost interest. And he was like, not really.
Okay.
But that same thing happened again. I wrote another story. Someone fell in love with it, contacted me. When I sent her chat, it was again a wash.
Interesting.
So I was like, I'd always, but I'd had disappointments. And at a point I was like, you know what, I'm just going to focus on writing what I want to write, researching, documenting. When I look back, all of that was so foundational, so instructive in my understanding of food, my understanding of the kind of book I wanted to write. Even though it's something I thought I could have done 8 years ago and 20 years ago, and I feel like now is the perfect time. Even though I know I still have a lot of doubts, and but I'm better prepared and
more seasoned.
Better prepared than I was, and I had done. Now I say I've done all of the foundational work.
So that was really necessary in order to develop this full project now that you're working on.
But I also have to not think of it like this is the only book I'll ever write.
Oh, of course.
No, but let me tell you that for most of the process, that's what I've been like. I want to put everything.
What the phases at the beginning, you're like, yes, we're gonna have a version.
Yes, and then the panic. Panic came. I was like, oh my god, can I do this? Oh my god, Nigerians can be very funny.
Have you publicly told people that you're working on a book?
Not really, because I don't want to. I feel like I don't want to be distracted by all of the questions around it. Maybe it's a me thing, probably a me thing, but I don't want to be distracted. So I'm happy to mention it, but I'm not
you're not seeking advice or or critique or any comments really.
Yeah, sometimes I get in my head. I always just felt like once I became public, I would feel overwhelmed, and I don't even know if that is grounded in fact. But that's what's in my head.
So I mean, we talked about it off camera, but what is the crux of the cookbook? Is it recipes that you've created, recipes that you've experienced? Is it what is it like?
I think of it as an introduction to Nigerian cuisine, foundational. What is the food? Who eats it? How do we eat it? What are the categories? So
So
that basic
categorizing our foods as well,
as much as I can, as much as I can, based on my own understanding, based on my understanding of how we eat things, how we pair things.
Can you let us know a little bit of some of the categories? I know there's soups already.
Yeah, soups, stews, sauces, small chops. Just all the things we eat. The rices, the beans.
And swallow. Have we always had, historically, a swallow dish to go with our soups?
I think we must have. I think we must have.
Because cassava and yam, are they indigenous to
Yam is, cassava isn't. So cassava is Portuguese colonists and slave traders, but also connection to Brazil, from the indigenous Amazonians.
What about Asia? Do they have cassava in Asia?
I think they have more taro, cocoyam. But yam, yes. So 14th, 15th century books have records of millet, sorghum,
Okay.
rice.
Okay, so we have our own. Is it the local rice that we eat? Not so. Is
Have you
ofada
eaten-
rice local rice?
Ofada rice is
Is it-
local
is it
rice,
local
but it's
rice?
fermented. That's why it has that very pungent, strong flavor. But have you eaten? Just ask your mom about ekboma rice. Damn. I can like that was rice that was popular in the 80s. Sweet, fragrant rice. Just ask your mom about ekboma rice.
Ekboma rice.
Or
So
abakaliki rice.
What was it like?
It's like normal. It's like
very-
long grain rice, but it has like red streaks. The best rice for coconut rice. The best. Like you cook it and
It's just fantastic.
sweet, peculiar sweetness. With stew. With fried beef. Yeah. So
Ekboma rice. I've written it in my brain.
ekboma rice.
I've written it in my
Amazing.
brain. Oh man.
Amazing.
Oh wow. Okay.
Amazing.
What is a dish that takes you back to your childhood?
Ekboma rice. Coconut rice. Coconut rice.
Interesting.
But also pounded yam and egusi on Sundays. Beans and fish on Fridays with dodo.
Yes.
And
Friday
beans
was
and
for
soup.
beans. And
Yes.
fish.
And I think it's a Christian thing.
It's very Christian.
Yes.
Of course.
And I was telling my students that, for a long time I didn't know that, there were those sorts of connections, but it's so fascinating to see, the religiosity of certain dishes.
Of course. Even the
associated-
combinations of it too. Because you can't have red meat. You can't so we'll do fish and
I can't till today. I can't eat beans. So if I'm eating stewed beans, it's either plain or with fish. I can't eat it with meat or chicken. I am completely.
It just does. Your
It
body's
just does. It's like yeah. If I'm eating white beans, yes, I can eat it with meat. But stewed beans that we used to eat with
not
Gary
the
on
same.
Friday,
Not the
no,
same.
no. I can't do it with meat or fish. But it's
Now that I think about it, I don't think that I've actually had beans with any other protein. Maybe like a fried beef. Maybe if that's whole and But fish is it.
Fish is it.
Fish is it.
Fish is it.
Grilled, stewed.
Yeah. In fact, I'm making that this weekend. I have to develop a recipe for beans.
I should have slept over.
I have to develop a recipe for beans. For a site. So I'm going to be making beans. And I bought fish in preparation for something. I'm going to make these beans. I'm going to soak curry. I'm going to eat fried fish. I'm going to do like a small pepper sauce. Yeah. God help me, because
you have to do that this weekend.
yes, I have to do 3 recipes this weekend.
Okay, and this is for your book.
No, it's not for my book. It's just like
So you
I do
also
recipes.
develop
Yes, I develop recipes.
as well. Lovely.
I hope you enjoyed that. Sorry to cut it short, but catch us next week for the next part of these conversations. Mwah.